What is going on, everybody? It's you, it's me, it's us. We're back for another weekly live stream. Welcome. We have got some awesome, crazy spoilers to go over today. Tarkir Dragonstorm is finally getting spoiled in full force, and boy, does this set look awesome. I am so excited about this set. I can't express enough how much I am excited to see that they went the route with the clans, and that there's still lots of dragons, but they focused on those tricolor clans because those were one of the things I loved the most about original Cons of Tarkir. And the set is looking sweet, like very sweet. If you missed the little stream I did yesterday of the debut, it's kind of a little bit of a train wreck, but I did go over my thoughts on some of the early spoilers, but we're going to go over everything again today just to make sure that we cover everything. And there was a lot spoiled today too, so let's go ahead and get straight into that. All right, so we've got, let me turn on this music a little more during this part. We have a new rare land cycle. Interesting. We haven't had a rare land cycle in quite some time that wasn't dual colored. Now, it does kind of rely on dual color because none of these come in untapped unless you control another land of one of the other colors in that clan. So starting here, looking at Kishla Village, this land enters tapped unless you control an island or a swamp. So this is the Sultai land. It produces green, and you can pay 4 and tap it to surveil 2. These are interesting in the sense that they just give you something that's repeatable value later in the game, so it makes long drawn out games much better. That's one of the reasons that Fountain Port is such a popular one of here and there in a lot of lists. That's another reason that Murex was very popular for a while, because lands that provide repeatable utility can help win games where you've run out of resources. So Surveil 2, it's pretty good. I mean, if you're playing a graveyard base deck, it's very good just to have that on your land, and just trying to smooth out your draws, So I can see this one being pretty good. Moving on to Great Arashan City, we have this one as the Abzan land. Enters tapped unless you control a forest or a plains. And this one, you can pay 2 mana to exile a creature from your graveyard to create a 1/1 white spirit creature token, which I like a lot, because, if you're playing an like, this will be very good in an aggressive Abzan list or like a mid-range Abzan list, where maybe your opponent is just constantly removing all of your creatures, and at least this gives you a way to get something on the board to potentially take advantage of later in the game. We have Quarry Mountain Monastery, which is the Jeskai land. So you need an island or a plains for this to come in untapped. Basically, this one says pay 4 and draw a card that you can play till your next turn. It's exiled, so I mean, that's relevant in some cases. But basically, it's to draw a card, which is pretty good. And then moving down to the blue one, Mistrise Village. This one is insane. I can't believe how good this one is, to be honest. Like, you're playing this in Temur, right? Which Temur is already a very fun color combination. And for 1 blue mana, so basically you have to tap two mana. You can make anything uncounterable. Not just creatures. You don't have to choose a special creature type. Doesn't instant, sorcery, enchantment, planeswalker, whatever. It's uncounterable. I think that's a really, really strong thing to have on your utility land. Like, this one will see play for sure. In control, it's good. It's good, and even if it comes in tapped, like even if you're playing it not in a deck that plays mountains or forests, this land will be good. It's just that good, in my opinion. Like, I would absolutely play a land that just said this land comes into play tapped and it adds blue, or you can pay a blue to make something uncounterable. I would play that in my blue deck all day long. So Mistrise Village, very, very strong. We have Dalkovan Encampment. This is the Mardu land. Adds white, and then you can pay 3 and tap. Whenever you attack this turn, create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. This can be a very strong and useful land in Mardu because you have so many ways to take advantage of the tokens, either through things like War Leader's Call or attack buffs from other creatures, things like that. And then even the sacrificing could possibly be beneficial if you're playing any of the creatures that uh, deal damage and drain your opponent whenever a creature you control dies. So this is actually a very, very strong land for those like Mardu lists, Mardu sacrifice, things like that, because you can even, just make the tokens and then sacrifice them to something like Viper or something like that. So very strong. I think of these 5 lands, I think the best ones are the white, the blue, and the black. I think the green and the red are kind of meh, but it is what it is. So next we have Severance Priest. Abzan 3/3 with Death Touch, 1 of each color. When this creature enters, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, exile that card. When this creature leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates an XX white spirit token where X is the mana value of the exiled card. I want to feel like this is very good because anything that lets us look in our opponent's hand and snatch something, especially when we can exile it instead of putting it in their graveyard, is a very strong effect. But giving them potentially a very large creature for it, I guess the way I compare this is with man, what is the name of that creature? I'm struggling to remember the name of the creature. It's a white and a white. It's a spirit that is a 2/2, and you exile a permanent with mana value 4 or less, and then your opponent gets a spirit or something like that. A little blue spirit token with power and toughness equal to the mana cost. So this is similar to that, but the problem is if you snatch something bigger, they get a really big token. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this. I think it's nice utility if you know that you can get rid of something problematic or just get rid of something little, like cut down or something out of their hand, and then maybe the little token's not that big of a deal. We'll have to see. It seems like a very cool effect. It reminds me of Thought Not Seer a lot, but Skyclave Apparition. Thank you, Matthew, and welcome to the stream. Yeah, Skyclave Apparition is... This sort of gives me Skyclave Apparition vibes. Both are 3 mana. This has better stats, but this doesn't deal with something on the battlefield like Skyclave does. This gets something out of their hand. There are also ways to abuse Skyclave Apparition. There are actually ways to take advantage of Skyclave and not give them tokens if you do it right. And I don't think this one has that same kind of ability. So moving on, we get Mystic Monastery, which means we will be getting the other 4 tricolored uncommon land cycle. So there will be 4 additional of these that tap for 3 mana and then they enter tapped. Not terrible. I mean, the Triomes saw a ton of play, even if they weren't in domain, so they'll definitely see at least a little bit of play, but probably not more like than 1 or 2 in a tricolored list, because we do have really good mana right now, so they won't be necessary until Dominaria and all that rotates, probably. We've got Will of the Jeskai, 4 mana sorcerer. Oh, wait, okay, hold on. These are commander cards. We're not going to go over commander cards because we're not playing commander on Arena. And most of those cards will not be on Arena. Only the commanders from the only the main commanders from the commander decks will end up on Arena. So all the commander only cards are not very relevant to us. So we're going to go on to Winter Night Stories. This card feels really interesting. Draw 3 cards, discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature. This feels really good in graveyard synergy decks. And then the fact that it has Harmonize, that we can... has to be power, right? Where X is its power. Okay. So I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to trigger Harmonize, but I like this card a lot. I like the fact that it's draw 3 for 3 and then discard probably 1 a lot of the time, because you're probably going to build your deck in a way where you don't have to discard 2. Um, and then being able to do it again later seems pretty awesome. So I feel like this is a very solid card. I think it'll see play. I'm not 100% sure what archetype it will see play in. Probably Sultai Emergence, or maybe as something else to play an Omni combo just to keep digging. Just I don't know. They don't play a lot of creatures in those decks, but Squirming Emergence decks and any kind of reanimation decks will probably care about this. And it feels like a very strong card. We got Fortress Kinguard, a 2-mana 1/2. When it enters, it endures 1, so we get to put a counter on it or create a 1/1 spirit. I like this. It feels like it doesn't have flash like Reinforcements does, but it's either a 2-mana 2/3 or it's 2 creatures for 2 mana still. It's pretty solid common. We have Tempest Hawk, 3-mana 2/2 flyer. When it deals combat, you may search your library for a card named Tempest Hawk, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. A deck can have any number of cards named Tempest Hawk. I don't know. Is it the best or the worst? Any number of creatures in your deck card. I don't know. I mean, the fact that it can search up more of itself is pretty cool. Maybe you find a way to take advantage of the I don't know, maybe an Anthem or something to make them better, so that each one comes in as like a 3/3 or something like that. I don't know. I like it. I think it's interesting. And but I don't know if it's gonna see any play as a deck, right? We'll have to see. All right, moving on. Eshki Dragonclaw. This is actually my first time seeing this one, so live react right here. We've got 1 and Teamer colors for a 4/4 legendary human warrior. Going right in Joda, I guarantee it. Vigilance, Trample, Ward 1. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you cast a creature spell and a non-creature spell this turn, draw a card and put 2 counters on Eshki. That's pretty cool. I mean, she's not like crazy statted, like I would think she'd be a 5/5 personally for being 3 pips of color, but Vigilance and Trample and Ward 1 are pretty good. So maybe I'm wrong on that. How hard is it in those colors to cast a creature and a non-creature spell? And would it be worth it? I suppose you could play this in like a teamer tempo where you're like bouncing your opponent's stuff. So like maybe you play this, and then the following turn you play a 2 or a 3 drop and then like bounce off your opponent's creature so that you're getting something out of the way. Then she grows to a 6/6 and you draw a card. That feels pretty cool. So I mean, there could definitely be a deck where Eshki Dragonclaw works out and becomes something interesting with like some bounce spells or fight spell. Ooh, fight spells. There you go. Bite spells and fight spells are great in teamer colors with all the big creatures. So there you go. You play a creature and then bite something, and then she grows and you draw a card. Pretty sweet, in my opinion. Then we have Magmatic Hellkite. This card is a house, in my opinion. 4 mana for a 4/5 flyer, so it's a solid statted flyer. When it enters, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Its controller searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, but with a stun counter on it. That is awesome. This will really shut down those decks that are playing like... Because like right now, Domain Overlords has completely shifted from trying to satisfy Domain through the actual lands. They still have some of the basics, right? They are still playing the surveil lands that have both types, but they're really focused more in either the Bant or like the Abzan colors, and they're really relying on Overlord of the Hauntwoods to satisfy Domain quickly. So being able to basically, if you're on the play, you can play this right after they play their Overlord of the Hauntwoods and destroy their Everywhere token, take their cool domain away, and then the basic they get comes in tapped for 2 turns. So you're basically denying them a land, and then if they're not ramping and you're just playing this on curve, you're basically temporarily land destructing your opponent, which is awesome. This gets rid of problematic creature lands. We all know that, especially with dragons and things like that, we're going to have caverns on the battlefield. We're going to have a plaza of heroes on the battlefield. We're going to have the new rare cycle lands on the battlefield. Magmatic Hellkite will be very strong in any red mid-range base deck, and I think it's a very strong effect, so I really expect to see that card around. We have Awaken the Honored Dead, a Sultai saga for one of each color of Sultai with destroy target non-land permanent. My first thought with this card is it's a slightly worse Maelstrom Pulse when it enters, right? So Maelstrom Pulse hits a non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name. This only hits one non-land permanent, but then you still get 2 benefits. You get to mill 3 cards, and then you may discard a card, and when you do, return target creature or land from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this helps in reanimation strategies and strategies that care about how many creatures or permanents you have in your graveyard. If you're trying to delve with the new Sultai Dragon, if you care about that, this helps fuel that. It helps fuel reanimation. So I think that Maelstrom Pulse is a solid card, but I think it's a solid card because it can kill a whole bunch of tokens at once, or it can kill a whole bunch of stuff at once, or your opponent's got multiple Leyline Bindings on the battlefield. Hitting them with Maelstrom Pulse is like the best feeling in the world. I think this is reasonable. 3 mana to destroy any non-land permanent at sorcery speed is not unreasonable, and then getting 2 benefits afterwards is pretty good. I don't know if this will see a ton of play, but it's a solid card, and I think it has potential to see play in decks that care about their graveyard being full of stuff. All right, Sarkhan's Resolve, just a nice little combat trick. 2 mana instant, give +3/+3 until end of turn, but with the caveat of destroying a creature with flying as a second mode. Very solid and limited. I don't think it'll see any standard play. Sirach Elusive Hunter. This is exactly what I am looking for in my green creature cards. The spell can't be countered. Awesome. We don't have to play Cavern, so we don't care about creature types. It has Trample. It's a 4/3 for 3. Good stats. Whenever a creature you control, a creature, not a creature other than Sirach, any creature, so including Sirach, becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, draw a card. It's Shaper Sanctuary on a creature, and I would give anything for them to reprint Shaper Sanctuary in this standard as a sideboard card, because Shaper Sanctuary punishes mono black decks. It punishes burn decks that are trying to remove your creatures with burn. It punishes control decks that are trying to remove your creatures with single target removal. Because if every time they remove something, you're drawing a card, this is one of the reasons that Spinner of Souls was really popular when it first got revealed, right when it came out. Because it was a 3 mana 4/3 that said, whenever a creature you control dies, you basically get a creature. Now, I think Spinner of Souls' ability is better than draw a card, because you're getting a creature guaranteed off of it, but Spinner of Souls doesn't trigger off itself. Sirach triggers a draw card off himself. I think the 2 will go very well in tandem together, personally. And I think this is definitely something that is going to make green-based aggro or green-based mid-range decks a lot better, because we're finally going to have something that punishes our opponent very hard for single target removal. So I like Sirach a lot. I think it's the best Sirach we've gotten, and I'm really excited to try him out. We've got Runescale Stormblood. Now, I was a little confused about this Omen mechanic at first, but I figured it out finally. After rewatching the video revealing all this a couple of times, the way they explained it in the video made it sound like it was something that, like, you shuffle it into your library, and then when you draw it again, you get to, like, do something for free. But that's not the case. It's basically, if you cast the instant or sorcery side, you shuffle it, and then when you draw it again later, you just can either shuffle it again by casting the instant or sorcery, or you can play the creature. Now, this one's pretty interesting because if you're playing like a dragon deck, this could be a pretty solid card. And I think dragons will be. I think if you're going to play a dragon tribal deck, it's going to be Teamer colors because some of the best dragons are in those colors. You get the Sarkin from a few sets ago is it colors. So I think that either blue, red, or Teamer will be the colors that we play dragons in. So being able to counter a spell with mana value 2 or less for 2 mana, that's not bad. Especially, because like it's a creature too. So like if you need the counter spell against like mono red aggro or something, boom, you have it. If you don't, then you have a cool dragon that you can play that does stuff later. So I think it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. I don't know if it'll be good enough in a dragon deck to see play, but I think it's at least worth trying since that's a pretty solid counter when it's slapped onto a creature like that. Speaking of dragons in Teamer, this is a really, really cool enchantment in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, 6 mana for 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker is a lot, but Teamer's really good at ramping, A, and B, that's a really good landfall ability. Every landfall, you get a 4/4. Are we forgetting Fabled Passages in the format right now? So you can just play Fabled Passage and get 2 4/4s after you play this? Not to mention all of the ramp spells that ramp multiple lands in a turn. Oh my goodness. This is a very solid enchantment in my opinion because it catches you up, it gets rid of problematic aggressive creatures, and then lets you just build an army of 4/4 flying dragons every turn, which I think is pretty sweet. So I like Dragonback Assault a lot, and I will definitely be building something with this. We have Auroral Procession. This is just a 2 mana green, a blue instant to return target card from your graveyard to your hand. I think this will be useful in. I think this will be useful in reanimation decks, like Sultai reanimation decks that are afraid of milling their reanimation spells or milling key pieces, things like that. Having something that can get something back that's important from your graveyard, or maybe getting back something that was countered, is pretty interesting in my opinion. We have the Sibsig Ceremony, black, legendary enchantment. Creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Whenever a creature you control enters, if you've cast it, destroy that creature and then create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. This seems really weird on the surface, but I've been thinking about it. And at least in Standard, we do have a lot of creatures that have interesting death triggers. And so making those things cost less and then playing them and getting a bunch of tokens and getting a bunch of death triggers. And then if you think about something like Valkyrie's Call or Radadrabik that bring those things back when they die, you can do some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, with this and a Valkyrie's Call in the battlefield, all your creatures are super cheap and they actually come back bigger with the Valkyrie's Call in the battlefield, and you get a 2/2 zombie out of it. Seems pretty cool to me. So I don't know if it'll see play in Standard, but I will definitely be brewing something with it because it's a very unique and cool enchantment, and I would love to see what kind of crazy stuff we can do with it. The ultimatums are going to be special guests in Tarkir, so these won't be standard legal, but they will be available in Tarkir packs. So if you like to play older formats, they've got some sick new art for the ultimatums. Then we have one card here, Teamer Battle Crier. This one's pretty interesting. It's a 3 mana 4/3. During your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. This might actually make me play that 2 mana 4/1 legendary guy that has no abilities, because if you play him and then play this the following turn, your creature costs 2 less to cast if they both live. So I don't know. That's pretty cool in my opinion. Moving on, we have Encroaching Dragonstorm. So this is basically like the Battle for Zendikar, uh, except a little better, I guess. Better or worse, I don't know. Battle for Zendikar, you can turn into a creature eventually. This you can't, but this comes back every time you play a dragon, so you can keep repeating it and fetching all the lands out of your deck, which is pretty sweet. So it's a 4-mana enchantment. When it enters, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And whenever a dragon you control enters, return it to your hand. I think that's pretty cool. We have a sorcery speed shock with Harmonize 7. I feel like that is a very steep Harmonize cost for... That seems like a really steep Harmonize cost, in my opinion. I don't know. This does not feel like a good card, in my opinion. We'll have to see. Strategic Betrayal's an interesting one. 2 mana, target opponent exiles a creature they control and their graveyard. So this is an edict, but it also exiles their graveyard. This will be fantastic against Valgavoth, like the Valgavoth reanimation decks that are on the best of 1 ladder. I think it's a pretty solid card. I don't know if it'll be really, really good, but it's definitely, I would say it's a solid edict, because exiling your opponent's graveyard is definitely worth it. So very cool card. We have Devoted Duelist, 2 mana Goblin Monk, 2/1 haste and flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Not terrible for a common, especially if you're playing it in goblins where you probably are casting more than 1 spell, because usually you're playing multiple goblins in a turn. Just gives you some extra damage, and a 2/1 haste isn't terrible in goblins, so probably won't take... I feel like the 2-drop slot in goblins is already so overcrowded, so I don't think it'll take any spots, but it's a cool card. Static Snare, 5 mana flash enchantment. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature. When this enchantment enters, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. Now this is really interesting. It's sort of like a worse Wandering Emperor kind of effect. Like, it doesn't cost very much less if your opponent's only attacking with a few things. I think that what happens is this will be like a sideboard card against go wide decks. You know, you hit if they have a creature that's pumping their stuff, or, you know, or a particularly problematic creature, and they're just, you know, alpha striking you with a bunch of stuff. Static Snare will be a nice enchantment. Is 5 mana... I imagine this will never cost more than 4 mana, right? So, like, I'm trying to think, is 4 mana for a flash Oblivion Ring good enough? And I think it probably is, considering the possible upside, right? The problem is if your opponent's attacking you with multiple creatures, that's probably not great. So maybe this shines in like a mid-range list where you have blockers available, and so maybe your opponent's alpha striking, thinking that they have... Oh, you're right. It does. It's not opponent. You're right. So, okay. So no, this goes very well in an aggressive deck then. Okay. It can work both ways. For some reason, I'm thinking... I was thinking creatures your opponents control attacking, but I did not RTFC, which is like the cardinal rule of Magic, right? No, you're completely right, Matthew. It is for any attacking creature. So you can get something out. Actually, yeah, that's really good then. Because, you know, you can get whatever your opponent's most problematic creature is out of the way, so that you can alpha strike. Pretty cool. All right, so we've got these devotees. This is the first one, the Mardu devotee. So these are all creatures that you can turn a colorless mana into one of the 3 mana of that clan, which is a cool ability, and I think Mardu Devotee might be the best one, in my opinion. It's 1 mana for a 1/2 when it enters, scry 2. A 1/2 that scries 2 when it enters, that's a pretty solid 1-drop. It's not crazy, but it's solid. And the fact that this fixes your mana, because it's not like the bad lands, right, where you can pay a mana and tap the land to add a color. Like, this just filters your mana. So it's like, oh man, I've got white and red, but I need black. Like, this filters the mana. It doesn't like these are really solid comments in my opinion, because filter lands were really good when they were in standard, right? And these are basically filter lands on creatures. So the fact that you don't have to lose a mana to do that is pretty sweet. And I think Mardu Devotee will see some play, just because being able to fix the top 2 cards of your deck to make sure you've got good draws coming on turn 1 is very solid. Moving on, we've got Sultai Devotee. This is a 2 mana, 2/1 with Death Touch that lets you do the same thing. It's a very solid blocker, but it's got low toughness, so it's easy to get rid of. But it's not terrible. We have Jeskai Devotee, a 2 mana 2/2 with Flurry. This one gets like weird half prowess. Whenever you cast your second spell, each turn this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Nothing too crazy. I really think that Mardu Devotee is just the most solid, but I would also say the teamer one we're about to look at is pretty solid too. Abzan Devotee, you get a 2/1 with the same ability for the Abzan colors, but you can pay 3 mana to return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So this one's pretty cool too, because it's recursive. So it's a 2 mana 2/1. Even if it does nothing else but help you make sure you have your mana, that's not too bad. And then it doesn't ever go away. You just pay 3 mana, bring it back. Pay 3 mana, bring it back. So having something like that is pretty awesome in my opinion. And then the Teamer Devotee is pretty good. It's a 3/3 defender, so the fact that it can't attack kind of sucks, but for 2 mana for a 3/3 that can block, not terrible. And being able to filter your mana to make sure you've got the colors you need is a solid ability on a blocker like that, so I like it. Now we have Bloomvine Regent, which is a 5 mana, 5/4 green dragon, or sorry, 4/5 green dragon with flying. When this creature or another dragon you control enters, you gain 3 life. 5 mana for a 4/5 flyer isn't terrible. It's not great, but 3 life, pretty solid. I would say it's pretty solid. And then every subsequent dragon you play, if this remains on the battlefield, gains you some life. So it really helps you catch up against those aggressive decks. And then the Omen lets you search for, it basically is Cultivate, but only for basic forests. So you get to search your library for 2 basic forests, put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand. Not a bad card at all. I think this is a really solid dragon. I think if there is a teamer dragons list, that this will definitely be a include in that list, at least as a couple copies, because the ramp is very good, and this gaining you life later in the game when you're stabilizing after crushing your opponent's stuff, and you're just waiting for that mono red deck to top deck that last lightning strike they need to get you, and Bloomvine Regent saves the day. So I think it's a solid card. I don't think it'll be like, oh man, put 4 of this in your deck, but you'll definitely see a couple of these in any kind of green based dragons lists that are out there. Boulderborn Dragon. It's an artifact dragon, a 5 mana 3/3 flying vigilance. Whenever it attacks, surveil 1. It's pretty terrible. All right, we've got Tavol, Arbiter of Virtue. So this is the Sultai Spirit Dragon. It's 5 mana for a 6/6 flying lifelink. Pretty good stats. It gives spells you control, spells you cast have Delve. So it reduces the colorless mana of your spells for each card that you exile from your graveyard, which is very strong. Delve is a very strong mechanic. Now, you do lose life equal to its mana value, because this is going to turn all your spells into paying life on top of the mana. That's where the lifelink kind of comes in. So you probably don't want to start doing that until you've connected with Tavol at least once, just to make sure that you're not dying to your own spellcast. But it's an interesting and I think potentially very abusable dragon. So we'll have to see if this is good enough. I really don't know if it will be, but I really like the idea. It's a very cool dragon. We have the basic waste. I think that they just included this for older formats, to be honest. But all of they have two full art basic land cycles, one with dragon eyes with the mana symbols in the middle, and then one with dragon shadows over landscapes, which is pretty cool. We've got Teamer Monument. This is a cycle of monuments that are 2 mana artifacts that say when it enters, search your library for a basic and put it into your hand. And then you can do a thing after the fact. For Teamer, it's 6 mana to sacrifice for a 5/5 elephant. For Mardu, it's 5 mana to create 3 1/1 red warrior tokens that gain menace and haste until end of turn. For Sultai, it's 5 mana to create 2 2/2 black zombie druids. For Jeskai, it's 4 mana for 2 1/1 white birds with flying. And for Abzan, it is creating an XX white spirit, where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. That's probably the strongest one, in my opinion. Because it has the potential to make something really big for 4 mana. But I don't think these monuments will see play in Standard. I could be wrong if it, you know, I shouldn't say they won't. They're artifacts, and artifacts are very powerful right now with the most recent couple of sets. So it's possible that some kind of artifact list will want to take advantage of one of these, especially the Jeskai one, making sure that you're hitting your land drops. I'm not sure. It's possible they could see play. But it'll only be in a deck that cares very much about having artifacts on the battlefield and having artifacts to sacrifice to other abilities. So we have Purging Stormbrood. So this is a 5 mana 4/4 dragon flying with ward, pay 2 life, and when this creature enters, remove all counters from up to 1 target creature. Not the craziest ability. It has an omen spell on it for 1 and a white that gives a creature +2/+2 lifelink and hexproof. I think that's a very strong ability to have slapped onto this creature, but I don't know if the actual dragon itself is good enough to run in a deck just because of Absorb Essence. So not 100% sure. What's up, Obsidian? Yeah, that is actually, you know what? Arcfiend of the Draw stacks play a lot of removal, right? So maybe that is a really solid sideboard card against that kind of deck. Since the white spell would protect something from removal if you don't need to get rid of an Arcfiend, but yeah. Just make them lose to their Arcfiend right away. That's pretty cool. Good point. We have Marshal of the Lost, which is a 4 mana 3/3 with Death Touch. Whenever you attack, target creature gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Probably not seeing play, to be honest. It's just bad mana cost, in my opinion, and the effect isn't really that great. We have Reigning Victor. So this is... I'm a little confused why they have these, like, 2 and color hybrid mana in this set. Like, when I first saw the very first one, I kind of understood, but like on a creature like this, like, why not just make it Mardu colors? I mean, I guess they're accepting that it might not always be easy to have Mardu colors on turn 3. So, but I mean, you can't cast until turn 4 then. So I don't know. I mean, as a Mardu, like red, white, black, 3/3, it has Mobilize 1, which is whenever this creature attacks, you get a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior token that you sack at the end of the at the beginning of the next end step. And then whenever this creature enters, target creature gets +1/+1, gains indestructible till end of turn. I think the creature itself is solid. A 3 mana 3/3 that lets you attack with something and give it indestructible. This could be really good with the stupid Unstoppable Slasher. Yeah, I don't think it's an incredible card. It's a common, but I think it could have some potential in a deck where you just are really trying to get Slasher through, because Slasher has Death Touch. You make it indestructible. They have to block it. So I think it's solid. We have Yothin Tomb Guard, 3 mana 2/3 with Menace, and whenever a creature you control, the counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose a life. I don't think that's particularly exciting. I think you would just play Gix or something like that instead. Salt Road Pack Beast. Now, this common actually has me, like, kind of arching my eyebrows a little bit. because it is not hard, especially in Boros Convoke, to make this a 1-mana 4/3 draw card. And I'm sorry, what did you just say? 1-mana 4/3 draw card? What? Like, Convoke can play this on turn 3, easy on turn 3 as a 1-mana 4/3 draw a card. That's probably the only place this will be good is in like a Convoke or a token strategy, but man, like, you're kidding me. Like, this should have had a double white mana cost or something. Like, the fact that you can make this cost 1 mana blows my mind. Like, that's a hell of a common. So I have to admit, I'm impressed by that for a common. Like, that's the strongest common in the set I've seen so far, in my opinion. Just because Convoke's already a solid strategy, it's already good, and giving it something else that helps it make big bodies and draw cards, like. All right, we've got Ringing Strike Mastery, a 1-mana aura that taps a creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, but they can pay 5 mana to untap it. It's all right. Sunset Strike Master. We have Unconditional Mana Dork in red with a pretty solid second ability. I mean, a 2-mana 3/1 that can add mana isn't terrible. It's a good blocker. It can trade up. But if it doesn't have to trade up, it can ramp you, and then later on you can sack it to blow up a dragon. Like, 6 damage is a lot. So, I mean, you can hit most of the good dragons with this later in the game. So it's a pretty solid uncommon. I don't know if it's going to make it in a standard deck or not in like tournaments or anything, but it's a pretty solid card. And I think people will definitely be trying it out if dragons become an issue. Corroding Dragonstorm. This is probably one of my favorite of the Dragonstorm ones so far. 2 mana for an enchantment. When it enters, it drains for 2 and you surveil 2. And then whenever a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. I want to play something janky with the ley line that makes everything a dragon. So now your pixies are all dragons. So you're playing this alongside all the other stuff that bounces your stuff, but you bounce like your removal and your edicts, and then you just keep getting Corroding Dragonstorm back for free because your pixies and your Fear of Isolations are all dragons. It's probably absolutely terrible, but that's just where my brain goes, because that would be pretty funny. We've got Duty Beyond Death. This card is very strong eventually. It's not good right now because Sunfall is still probably the most popular board wipe, but we have been seeing a lot more Day of Judgment. And once Sunfall rotates later this year, I think that this will be a much more powerful spell, because as of yet, we have not gotten any more exile-based board wipes, and I really think that Sunfall wasn't ban worthy, but I think they understood the feels bad of printing reasonably costed exile based board wipes. So I'm hoping that we don't get another one before or after Sunfall rotates and things being indestructible can matter again, because there are a lot of interesting indestructible cards and things like that. And it's like, what does it matter when Sunfall's around? Indestructible is a worthless mechanic right now because Sunfall is just too prevalent as a board wipe. So this will be very strong once Sunfall goes away, though, because, you know, if you're playing an aggressive deck, you sacrifice something that either has like a death trigger that gives you something afterwards. Like, I imagine this in maybe like a list that where you're playing like Convoke would really like this, but you could also just play this in any deck that's playing like Nesting Bot or something like that, where you have creatures that make tokens when they die. So you sacrifice a creature to this, you still get a token out of it, all your stuff becomes indestructible, and you grow your entire team. This is a really solid card. I really, really like it. I'm excited to play with it, but probably not until Sunfall rotates. Yeah, I think Deadly Cover-Up is a very solid board wipe. I know people didn't like Farewell, but I feel like like Farewell was 6 mana. Like if you're an aggro deck and you're getting to 6 mana and you're overextending, you're probably losing. But the problem with Sunfall versus Farewell, right, is Farewell was a lot stronger in the fact that it could hit other stuff than creatures, right? So I don't think something like Farewell should be printed again. But like, if you showed me a 6 mana exile all creatures and planeswalkers, or exile all creatures and enchantments, or exile all creatures and graveyards, or something like that, like kind of like like half of the effects of Farewell, I don't think that's terrible. The problem with Sunfalls, it's 5 mana to exile everything, and then you get a win con out of it. Like, your board wipe should not provide you with a win condition. That's my problem with it. What's up, Jay Villain? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you again. My first opportunity to thank you with my voice for promoting that video a while back, my ooze video. I really appreciate you promoting that. I think I got like 30 or 40 subscribers from you for that reason. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. It was very kind of you. I'd love to hear how you're feeling about this set so far. I'm really excited about it. I'm getting ahead of myself, skipping stuff. We've got Stalwart Successor. We have a 3 mana 3/2 with Menace. Whenever one or more counters are put on a creature you control, if it's the first time counters have been put on that creature this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is actually very interesting wording, because it's not whenever a +1/+1 counter is put on it. Like, there are a lot of there's a new mechanic in this set called Renew that lets you put counters on things like death touch counters, lifelink counters, flying counters, menace counters, things like that. So this actually counts for any kind of counters. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, I'm really excited for Tarkir. I've been very impressed with at least the big power cards in this set so far, especially the Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are both incredibly strong. It's been a while since we've had really good walkers, and I think the 2 walkers from this set are really strong. We'll get to those in a little while. We've got Watcher of the Wayside, a 3 mana 3/2. When this creature enters, target player mills 2 cards and you gain 2 life. Eh. We have Summit Intimidator, a 4 mana 4/3 with reach. When this creature enters, target creature can't block this turn. Nothing too crazy there. Seize Opportunity. This one's kind of interesting in an aggro deck. I don't know if it'll see play or not, but it's a very interesting card in the fact that for 3 mana, we can exile top 2 cards of our library, and until the end of our next turn, we can play them, or we can buff our creatures by +2/+1. The fact that this is an instant is pretty sweet in my opinion, because if we're in a situation where we desperately need more cards, we can cast this on our opponent's end step, make sure we've got some extra fuel for our following turn, or if we've just got a sweet board, we've got a super awesome Anthem effect. I think it's solid. I don't think it's going to break the format or anything, but it's a cool card. We have Cruel Truths, a 4 mana instant, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Nothing crazy there. It's basically a functional reprint of some older cards that we've had. We have Riverwalk Technique, a 4 mana instant, modal spell, choose one, target owner, the owner of target non-land permanent puts it on top of their choice of the top or bottom of their library. And also you can choose to counter a non-creature spell. I don't think this card will see play either, not in standard anyway. Then we have Jade Cast Sentinel, 4 mana for a 1/5 reach, that we can pay 2 mana to put cards from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. More limited stuff. Undergrowth Leopard, a 2 mana 2/2 with Vigilance. Now this one's all right. It's a cat. It's got a relevant creature type because, you know, we've got some pretty cool cat lords, right? So the fact that this has Vigilance and you can follow this up with my brain is not working on card names tonight. The 3 mana lord from Foundations, Arabo. You can follow this up with a Rabo, and now you have a cat that could sacrifice. You could destroy an artifact or enchantment with it, or you can make it into a 3/3 Vigilance. I think it's an okay card. It'll be a very good addition in cat decks. Like if you want to play green-white cats, this will be a solid addition to that as a sideboard card at the very least. Aegis Sculptor, we have a 4 mana 2/3 flying ward 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you do, put a counter on this creature. I don't think this is going to see play in standard, just more limited stuff. Rescue Leopard. This is an interesting one. It's a 3 mana 4/2 cat. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. There's some ways you could abuse this. You could play this with like Enduring Vitality and tap it for mana to draw cards too. Maybe. I don't know. That's an interesting card. Bearer of Glory. 2 mana 2/1. During your turn, this creature has first strike, and you can pay 5 mana to give everything +1/+1. Nothing too crazy there. More stuff for limited. We move on to Rite of Renewal. Now, this one I like. I think this one is a really good sideboard card against graveyard strategies. So it's a 4 mana sorcery. You can get 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard into their library, and then you exile this. I think it's really good for hitting opponents' stuff out of their graveyard if they're playing like Omni combo or Reanimation combo or something like that. This is a solid way to like get some stuff. It gives you some card advantage while also dealing with their thing. Is this going to be better than Ghost Vacuum or some other cards that can just exile their whole graveyard? I don't know, but I like the spell and I think it has potential as a sideboard card at the very least. Then we have Gurmag Nightwatch, which is Sultai 3/3. When this creature enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 back on top and the rest in your graveyard. Maybe it sees play in Reanimation or what, you know, a graveyard strategy, maybe, but that seems optimistic. I feel like there are better cards to do that effect with. Caustic Exhale, 1 mana for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, behold a dragon or pay 1. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. This is a really good spell. 2 mana for this effect is not terrible, as we've seen with Nowhere to Run, right? So Nowhere to Run is basically the same thing, except it stays on the battlefield and it removes hexproof and ward. So Nowhere to Run is better, but this can cost 1 mana if you're playing any dragons in your deck and you can actually show a dragon to your opponent. This is really good. I think Caustic Exhale is a common that we'll see play in any deck that is running enough dragons that you could actually reliably behold a dragon on turn 1. And I do think there will be some kind of dragon deck that's at least tier 2. Maybe not tier 1, maybe not winning Pro Tours, but there will be some kind of decent dragon deck that's tier 2 at the very least. And Caustic Exhale will be a solid spell because even if you don't have a dragon to behold, 2 mana for this effect is not bad at all. We have Dirger Island Dragon, 6 mana for a 4/4 flying ward 2. Nothing too crazy there, but it has Omen to pay 2 mana and tap up to 1 target creature and draw a card. I don't think that'll see play either, but very solid for limited. We have Roamer's Routine, a 3 mana sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then Harmonize for 5. That's actually not terrible because you're playing this in a ramp deck, so you're going to have creatures that can help pay that Harmonize cost that you're ramping into. And this can help you further ramp into even bigger stuff. So I think it's an interesting card for sure. Duskyet Earthcarver, 6 mana 4/4 reach. When it enters, it endures 3. So it's basically a 6 mana 7/7 or a 6 mana 4/4 that also makes a 3/3. Not terrible, but it's nothing crazy. We've got Agent of Kotus, 2 mana for a 2/1 with Renew. Exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. It's not terrible. I really like the Renew mechanic, but this is not like an exciting card for that mechanic. Dragonback Lancer, we have a 4 mana 3/3 with flying, immobilize 1. It's all right. Taiga Master Opportunist. Now, this card is very, very strong in my opinion. If this sticks around for even 1 turn, I don't know exactly what deck you'd be playing this in. I see like Jeskai Burn or possibly just even draw spells, like Stock Up. just this card's insane. If this card lives and you can cast 2 spells the following turn, the second spell is going to get copied. So even if it's like a bounce spell, like you bounce 2 things and then it gets suspended for 4 turns. I think it's a really good card. I know there's got to be some way to abuse this. Because that's a really strong ability. Like, copy your second spell you cast each turn for no mana? Like, that's really good. Like, even if it didn't give it suspend, like, I'd love this even without the suspend. The suspend's crazy. My personal thought is we'll see this in some kind of Jeskai burn list. Because you can play this and then play another creature and then play a burn spell. Thank you very much, Sarah, for gifting a membership there. Jay Villain, you've got a membership to my channel. Congratulations. Thank you very much for that, Sarah. Appreciate that a lot. My loyal mod there. And yeah, so I think burn is a place that we could really see this, because you could play another creature and then play like a bolt wave and just dome them for 6 right away, and then the bolt wave gets suspended for 4, so you just got that 3 damage looming in the background for 4 turns. Like, I think Taigum's crazy. Moving on to Voice of Victory. This card is really good in my opinion. 2 mana 1/3 human bard, mobilize 2, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So my immediate comparison for this during the stream yesterday was to Grand Abolisher. Grand Abolisher costs white, so it's harder to cast. It's a 2/2, so it's easier to burn spell away. And although it does also stop your opponent from activating abilities during your turn, I don't think that clause comes up nearly as often as your opponent being able to counter things or remove things on your turn. Thank you so much for joining the stream, Obsidian. I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next stream, hopefully. What's crazy about this, though, is Mobilize 2 is really good. If you follow this up with a War Leader's Call, you're attacking your opponent for 6 and dealing 2 damage on turn 3. Like, this makes, like, War Leader's Call's typically okay, because if you play a 1-drop, a 2-drop, then War Leader's Call, you're like, all right, you know, like, you buff up your 1-drop and your 2-drop, you get 2 extra damage out of it, right? But with this, they can't counter your War Leader's Call, so you know it's going to resolve. Now you're attacking with your 1-drop, this, plus you get 2 1/1s that come in, they're 2/2s because of the War Leader's Call, and then they ping your opponent for each one. That's a lot of damage from a War Leader's Call on turn 3, and your opponent can't interact with it. If this survives and you get to cast a War Leader's Call after this, that's really strong. So I think Voice of Victory is a very strong card, and it'll absolutely see play in something. Even if it's not with War Leader's Call, just the effect is very good. We have Areni's Rebuff, which is a 2-mana sorcery. Return target creature to its owner's hand with Harmonize 6. I don't think this is strong enough to see play at sorcery speed. I could be wrong, but I really just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'll eat my words on that, though. Sidisi, Regent of the Mire. I like this guy a lot. 2 mana for a 1/3 zombie snake warlock, and then you can pay 2 mana, or just tap it, sorry. You tap it to sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi, and then return target creature card with mana value X+1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. It's Birthing Pod for your graveyard. How awesome is that? Like, you mill a bunch of stuff, and then your graveyard becomes a cool Birthing Pod toolbox for this guy. I think that's really cool. Moving on, we have Roiling Dragonstorm, another of these dragon enchantments. It lets us draw 2 cards and discard a card, and then whenever a dragon enters, we bounce it back to our hand. Not too crazy, but not too bad either. We've rediscovered the Way, Jeskai Saga. First 2 modes are look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest on the bottom. And then the third one is whenever you cast a non-creature spell this turn, target creature you control gains double strike. I don't know where this would see play right now, but it's probably just because there's not a deck that needs this right this minute. But it's a pretty strong effect, and I think it could see play possibly. We'll have to see. Rakshasa's Bargain. Now, this is a really good card, in my opinion. It's a Sultai 3-drop. It's an instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 of them in your hand and the rest in your graveyard. So it does a lot of things for us. It's like Stock Up, but at instant speed. Stock Up's a really strong card, as we've seen, but it's a sorcery. If Stock Up was an instant, it would be insane. This is basically instant speed Stock Up. Obviously, you have to pay a harder mana cost for it, but it's very strong. You're digging 4 deep, picking 2 cards, and then the cards you don't pick are going into your graveyard. So with all these harmonized cards and all these cards that we can use to take advantage of our graveyard and reanimation decks and all kinds of other crazy stuff, I think this card will absolutely see some play. We have Quarsai Revenant. This is the first renew card that I think is really good. It's a 3/3 flying Death Touch lifelink for 3 mana. That's a really solid card. I mean, that's a lot of keywords for 3 mana. And then if this dies, you can pay 3 to exile it from your graveyard and put all those keywords on another creature, which is awesome. So I think this is a solid card, and I think it'll absolutely see play in some kind of deck that cares about mid-rangey creatures. And I really like the card a lot. We have Meringue River Regent, 6 mana for a 6/7 flying, and when it enters, we get to return up to 2 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. That's not bad for 6 mana. Like, it's really not. Like, this could be a sweet top end for a control deck. Especially because it has a pretty good omen, which is draw 3 cards and discard a card. So for 4 mana, at instant speed, we draw 3 and discard 1. And then later on in the game, we get a 6/7 that bounces 2 things. Pretty good, in my opinion. All right, we've got Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon. This is our dragon land for the set. It adds a colorless or 1 mana of any color to cast a dragon or an omen spell. So I think that's a really sweet land because it turns all these omen dragons into, this works to cast the omen side of their card, which is pretty cool. So definitely we'll see play in any kind of dragon deck that comes along. We have Frostcliff Siege. This is a really good card. 3 mana for an enchantment. If you choose Jeskai, whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Very solid effect. Teamer creatures you control get +1/+0, have trample and haste. That's really good. Both of those things are very strong. And any kind of like mid-rangey or aggressive teamer color deck is really going to love this, or Jeskai even. So very strong Siege, very good abilities, both very useful in different situations. I really, really like it. Equilibrium Adept. When this creature exiled, you exile the top, or sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted, my bad. When this creature enters, exile the top card of your library until end of your next turn. You may play that card, and then Flurry, this creature gains double strike till end of the turn. I don't think that's too crazy. It's a cool card, but I don't think it's going to see play. Rennie was the artwork on my thumbnail for a reason. I think this has got to be the coolest 8-drop in Standard right now, other than Craterhoof Behemoth. This card is really strong. Like, you talk about a finisher, it's a 8 mana 10/10 with protection from white and black. So it's got protection from the only two colors that can directly remove this card with like single target removal anyway. And then it basically wipes our opponent's board away in a lot of cases. It deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control, where X is the number of lands you control. Holy mackerel. Like, there is so much good non-creature ramp in Standard right now where you can just ramp up your lands and make sure you have 8 lands when you cast this. 8, so like, let's say that's the case. Let's say we only ramp lands, no creature ramp, and it's all land ramp through either spells, artifacts, enchantments, whatever. And we cast this for 8 mana. We're dividing 8 damage among our opponent's creatures and planeswalkers, and then they are left to deal with a 10/10 flyer, and it's basically unbeatable for things like any kind of black or white mid-range decks. Board wipe's the only thing that gets rid of it. Like, Esper Pixie basically doesn't have anything other than edicts to deal with it. Bouncing this doesn't feel very good. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is a really, really strong finisher. It's got incredible stats. It's got protection from the best colors it could have protection from. And that enters the battlefield effect is incredibly strong. So I really like this a lot. And I will probably be slamming this in every team or color deck I can possibly put it in. Not to mention that you can, like, this is the kind of card that makes me want to play Smuggler Surprise more than anything in the world, because Smuggler Surprising this into play and wiping your opponent's board at instant speed with that enters the battlefield trigger. Like, what? Like, man. Oh, Ireni's such a good card. I'm really excited about that card. You're going to see me playing that a lot. We've got Neriv, Heart of the Storm. I think this is probably the weakest of the Spirit Dragons. I could be very wrong, though. I feel like decks that are playing a lot of haste creatures don't care about a 4-drop that doesn't have haste also. I think them not giving this creature haste... I mean, for 4 mana, you couldn't. It would have to be 5 or 6 mana with haste. If you can play something else that gives this haste, it's very strong. So maybe in a deck playing like Enduring Courage or the Goblin that you can pay 1 mana to give other creatures you control haste, or something else like that. Something else that gives Neriv haste would make him very good. But if you're just playing him in the deck because you're playing a bunch of 1, 2, maybe 3, like 3 mana creatures that deal... I don't know. It's got solid stats. For 4 mana, it's a 4/5 flyer. Those are good stats. It has a solid ability, but I mean, a lot of decks that would care about hasty creatures just wouldn't care about this card. What immediately comes to mind is things like Screaming Nemesis. This says whenever a creature you control would deal damage, if it entered this turn, it would deal twice that instead. So this does affect Screaming Nemesis's trigger if it gets blocked. So if you play this and then follow it up with a Screaming Nemesis and your opponent has to block the Nemesis, it makes Nemesis even that harder to block, because people already don't want to block it because it's dealing damage to their face when they block it anyway, and then stopping them from gaining life. Well, Neriv would double up that damage. So it could be good. It's got potential, but I personally don't see where this fits right now. But I like the ability, and I think it's got potential. If you're playing a dragon deck and there are some more dragons that have haste that cost 5 and 6 mana, I could see that being really sweet. So we'll have to see. Elspeth Stormslayer. This Planeswalker is nuts. This Planeswalker is crazy. I don't care what anybody says. I've been in Discord arguing with people all day long. This card is insane. It's good for so many kinds of decks. It's a good control card. It's a good mid-range card. It's a good aggro card. Okay, not aggro. Like, it would have to be like a mid-range aggressive deck. But man, she's good. She's Anointed Procession is a 4-mana card, and it's a good card. Like, Anointed Procession wasn't a good card. Like, it's not like it was like, oh wow, break the format or anything, but it's a solid enchantment. She basically costs 1 mana for all her other abilities, if you take that into account. She has literally Anointed Procession tacked onto her as a passive ability. Not to mention that if you think back to Elspeth Sun's Champion, which was a 6-mana Elspeth that when her +1 made 3 1/1s, for 1 less mana, she still makes 2 1/1s. So she makes 2 blockers. She protects herself very well. But for 0, you can Alpha Strike with her. If you've already got a good board, she helps you win. for 0 mana, you just slap counters on everything and they all get flying till end of turn. And then on top of that, if you need to remove something, boom, -3, remove it. This does so much. Like it'll be good in control decks. It doubles up on treasure tokens. It doubles up on Urabrask's Forge tokens. It doubles up on so many different things. Like you already had a good token control deck with Caretaker's Talent that was semi-popular and pretty solid. This Elspeth on top of the other Elspeth is just going to make that deck nuts. Because if you go Caretaker's Talent, 4 mana Elspeth, this Elspeth, you're going to be making 2 1/1s with lifelink, 2 1/1 soldiers, and then the following turn, putting +1/+1 counters on everything, pumping them up with your Caretaker's Talent, and just smashing your opponent's face in the worst way. Like, Elspeth is really, really good. I'm telling you, you are going to see Elspeth Stormslayer all over the place. She's really strong. We have Beator Kendall. It's Abzan colors for a 5 mana, 5/7 flyer. I don't know how I feel about this one. It's got some really wonky effects, and I don't know if they're relevant. I'm trying to, okay. I'm evaluating this from the first ability only. Is it good for a 5 mana, 5/7 flyer that if you control probably any other creature, draw a card at the end of your step? That seems okay to me. I like it. It doesn't seem bad at all. It's a very good blocker for 5 mana. You only need a total toughness of 10 to draw a card. So if you basically have any other reasonably sized creature on the battlefield, this will draw you a card. If your creatures have total toughness 20 or greater, then you untap everything. That's not bad, but having 20 toughness on the battlefield seems difficult. Then if your creatures have 40 toughness or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. That's a very strong ability, but man, 40 toughness is a big ask. I don't know. I think the only way you can evaluate this card is the first ability good enough? And I think 5 mana, 5/7 flyer that draws you a card a lot of the time at your end step is good enough. I think it'll see play. I don't think it's going to break the format, but it'll see play. All right, we've got Anafenza, Unyielding Lineage, 3 mana for a 2/2 flash, first strike, and whenever another non-creature token you control dies, Anafenza endures 2, which means that she either gets 2 +1/+1 counters or we create a 2/2 white spirit. This is a really solid card. It's a very good card. I think this will be a really good addition to Soldiers. Soldiers is not like a crazy archetype right now or anything, but this will be a really nice addition to it. As just guaranteeing that if your opponent goes to remove something, you can flash this in and get a 2/2 out of it, or make her a 4/4 first strike, which is really good for 3 mana. And the fact that she has first strike means that you can surprise block something sometimes. So pretty sweet card. Then we have All Out Assault, 5 mana for a Mardu colored enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. When this enchantment enters, if it's your main phase, there is an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. When you next attack this turn, untap each creature you control. This is really good. I think it'll be incredible if we can get a critical mass of first strikers in these colors, which there are an okay amount. We have Anafenza right there as a first striker. First strike and Death Touch is one of the most incredible abilities that you can get. So this gives us an additional combat phase, and it basically makes all of our first strikers absolutely lethal to our opponent's board, and then untaps them all, which means you can block with them, and they all have first strike and Death Touch still. It's really good. I don't know if this will see play or not, but that's a pretty dang cool effect. I like it a lot. Kotis the Fangkeeper, 4 mana for a 2/1 indestructible zombie warrior, and when Kotis deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells of mana value X or less from among them without paying its mana cost. I don't honestly know if this is going to be good enough to do anything with. I feel like there's got to be some kind of crazy weird combo potential with this, making it unblockable and pumping it up a bunch and stealing a bunch of crap from your opponent's deck, but I just don't know. 4 mana seems like a lot. The fact that it's indestructible is pretty cool, but there's a lot of exile-based removal, and there's a ton of negative removal right now in the format. So for him to be a 2/1 feels a little rough. Moving on to Ugin, Eye of the Storms, and holy cow. This is better than Ugin the Spirit Dragon, in my opinion. Like, this has got to be one of the best 7-mana planeswalkers we've ever had. On cast, it exiles something that's 1 or more colors. So you obviously can't exile something colorless, but anything else, this exiles it on cast. So even if it gets countered, it's removal. So for 7 mana, even if they counter it, you're still removing something. Then its static ability is whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. That's crazy. You play this in a deck with like tomes and other just solid colorless artifacts that do cool stuff, and it turns them all into removal. Exile-based removal. That's really good. Not to mention, after he comes into play, you can play a 3-mana colorless artifact. So you can cast him for 7, exile something problematic. Zero him, add 3 colorless mana, cast a tome or a collector's vault or, you know, any other random 3-mana mana rock or artifact that draws and discards or whatever, and exile something else. And then they still have to deal with him after you've removed 2 things. If he sticks around, you're gaining life and drawing cards every turn. His ultimate is pretty crazy. Like, search your library for any number of colorless cards and exile them and then cast them without paying their mana cost. And you cast them. So if he's on the battlefield still, if he survives his -11 somehow, you get to just exile stuff with every free thing you cast. So you just wipe their board. That's insane. Like, Ugin is going to be a problem. Ugin might get banned in older formats. Like, this is better than Karn. Like, in Tron, like, you've got Karn Liberated. Karn Liberated was strong because you could literally get Tron on the battlefield on turn 3, play a 7-mana planeswalker, exile something, and then still have a planeswalker left. That's why he's strong. Now, Karn could exile lands, I think. Karn Liberated could exile lands, so that's the only place that it's a little better. But this does so much more for 7 mana because you get to exile something just for casting him. Then he still does more stuff after. Like, ugh, my goodness. He's going to be a problem. Ugin the Spirit Dragon was a nightmare in Standard. And yes, Ugin the Spirit Dragon just wiped everything away, but this is almost as bad in my opinion. It might not wipe as much stuff away at one time, but this is just so much stronger. At least you could counter Ugin and not deal with it. You know, you just, okay, negate, and Ugin goes away. This Ugin, sure, it gets negated, but they're still exiling your best permanent, no matter what. Like, this is a really strong card, and I think it's going to be a problem in Standard, in my opinion. But it's cool. I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to play with it. It is exciting, but I think it's just a bit too strong, in my opinion. Crater Hoof's back in Standard, guys. Crater Hoof. Look at that. Right there. Boom. Crater Hoof Behemoth in Standard. We basically have Pioneer Elf Ball in Standard. Like, we're only missing Elvish War Leader, and that's really it. Like, and Elvish Mystic, like, because we've got Llanowar Elves. We don't have both 1-mana elf, right? But there are other 1-mana elves in Standard, and there's plenty of good. We've got good elf lords all over the place. We've got Elvish Archdruid in Standard, which is the biggest and easiest way to cast Crater Hoof Behemoth. We've got Tyvar. the Pummeler in Standard, which is really good. We've got Dwyann's Elite in Standard right now. We've got Llanowar Visionary. It's not going to be that hard to just go elf, Crater Hoof Behemoth on like turn 4 or 5 and just smash your opponent's face in. Not to mention that even if you don't play this in elves, I can see a Smuggler Surprise deck just trying to get 2 of these onto the battlefield at the same time. Or copying it in some way, you know, with crazy things like that. Because 2 of these at once is 18 damage by itself, not to mention if you have any other creatures on the battlefield. So Crater Hoof Behemoth is nuts. I cannot believe they reprinted this card. Moonshaker Cavalry is in Standard, but it's a way worse card than this. Like way worse. Because this gives because it's creatures you control. It includes itself. Gain trample and get +X/+X. That's insane. Like, it's Crater Hoof Behemoth is good in older formats. It's going to be even better in Standard because Standard is not ready for this card, in my opinion. Draco Genesis. This is going to be really good for Commander. Is there a way to abuse this in Standard? There are a few ways to reanimate this out of your graveyard for really cheap. And then just slam a crap load of dragon spells out of your hand. So maybe I can see a fun deck like that where your goal is just to reanimate this out of your graveyard using whatever method and then just cast a whole bunch of dragon spells. But one could argue that you could just play the 8-mana Galta that puts all the creatures from your hand onto the battlefield. So I don't know. They cost the same mana. This is 8 mana. Galta's 8 mana. Is this better? Possibly, because this lets you cast them for free even after that turn. Galta only puts the stuff that's in your hand right now, whereas this will let you cast stuff that you draw subsequently. So maybe Draco Genesis is good after the fact. Okay. Spoilers. Oh, wait, hold on. I lied. These are all Commander. Everything else was spoiled beforehand. Right? Yeah, this was all stuff that's been spoiled for a while. Skirmish Rhino is the card I'm really excited about. But all of this stuff is pretty much old news because it's been out spoiled for quite a while. So we're not going to go over that stuff. That is the spoilers for this week. Man, some really cool cards. I would love to hear your thoughts. What cards are you most excited about that you've seen so far? What deck archetypes are you hoping will come from this set? Do you think we will finally see a big shift in Standard? Do you think that these cards so far are enough to dethrone some of the problematic deck archetypes in Standard right now? I do. I think that there is some stuff in this set that's going to make Mono Red a little worse. I think there is some stuff in this set that is going to make Pixie a little worse. I think there's going to be some interesting new archetypes. I know there's got to be some kind of at least tier 2 dragon list out of this because there's some really sweet dragons so far. So I'm really excited to see what else comes. We still got a lot of rares and mythics to see. But I'm really stoked. I'm really excited about this. So let me get Arena open here. And we will start on the Standard Brews. All right, give me just a second here. All right, we're on Arena. Time to play some Standard. All right, I've got a bunch of new stuff for you guys this week. Took us about an hour and a half to get through spoilers. It shouldn't take this long next week, but next week on Wednesday, I will be going over whatever spoilers come out from now until then. Hopefully, it won't be quite as many. They did spoil a lot in the last 2 days, so hopefully we'll get a little more time in Standard. I've got a few things. It's a lot of jank today. I'm not gonna lie. I've fallen in Mythic testing stuff into like the 80s. So we're playing jank. We're playing jank because I love to have fun, and the only way I'm gonna make it into numbered mythic for the season is to play decks I don't want to play, or just play the exact same deck over and over and over again. And as a content creator who creates fun decks for you guys, I cannot just sit around and play one deck for 6 hours a day. So unfortunately, even though we did manage to make it into numbered mythic with my Joda list, if you guys haven't seen my most recent video, my Joda list from earlier last week, I did actually make it to like 1104 mythic with that deck. So very fun deck, very good watch, some great games with that. But today we are gonna play, I have a Ketramos based crime deck. A friend of mine, Daniel Caricolo, if you're here, Daniel, and I'm butchering your last name, I'm really sorry, brought to my attention the combination of Ren the Relentless and Ketramos. And I thought that was just super cool. Since, you know, Ren gives us free rats and Ketramos draws us cards whenever something on our opponent's side of the field gets exiled. And that's really cool. So that's going to be the first deck that we try tonight. Play a few games with that. I've been having some success with it, and I would like to end up getting a video out of it. Other than that, I have a copy control list that's really, really janky and fun, and just probably one of the most brain-teasing decks that I've played and built. We have a deck I'm calling Teamer Infinity, which is something that was... Hey, you remember my original copy control deck. I'm glad somebody gets it. Teamer Infinity is actually something Jim Davis played. I don't usually grab stuff from other people just because I try to be original, and especially as a smaller content creator, I never want people to come to my channel and be like, oh, he's just copying CGB, oh, he's just copying Jim Davis, he's just copying so-and-so. Like, I try to be original and come up with my own stuff, but this deck was just too fun. I guess he got it from a viewer, and I tweaked it just a teensy bit, and it's a really cool deck. It's based around discarding Fear of Infinity over and over and over again and getting a bunch of value out of it. We've also got some mono green, a turtle deck, and yeah, so let's start with Ketramos Crime. Let me just show you the list again really quickly. It's basically just Esper Legends, with the crime mechanic being relatively prevalent in the list. To take advantage of things like Vadmir, and to take advantage of things like this version of Lazov and Karvek the Punisher, and stuff like that, and then also Gisa at the top end, and then a bunch of things that exile stuff either off the battlefield or off the graveyard, and yeah, it's really cool. So we're gonna play it because I wanna. Also, just got my my Aether Drift collector boosters from the Arena Direct that they did a couple weeks ago. So excited about that. I did manage to win myself a collector box from that event, and that was very cool. This is a solid hand. Opponent's going first, but we've got a decent hand. Tiny Bones joins up is amazing when our opponent is on the play. So we'll keep. Forest. All right, well, we're gonna play Adakar Waste just in case it's Gruul, and we wouldn't need to Elspeth Smite something. I could play Tiny Bones joins up, but honestly, since I don't have a 2-drop, I'm more inclined to play it when my opponent has less cards in hand. Make that choice a little bit harder for them. Hushwood Verge for our opponent. So, is it Domain? Is it Domain? Opponent doesn't want to discard. It is Domain. Sunfall. Oh boy. Lumbering World Wagon. So our opponent's going to have Sunfall mana next turn. Well, it might not be Domain. It might just be Selesnya. We'll see. Okay, it's just Selesnya. That makes sense. Well, I guess in that case... we just take it slow. If our opponent's discarding Sunfall, they probably have another board wipe in hand, right? The last thing we want to do is overextend. Up the Beanstalk is annoying. I'm gonna go ahead and play Vren. Make our opponent mill. If our opponent has removal, they have removal, but they've got to pay a lot of mana for it, so... another Beanstalk. So our opponent's going to be drawing a lot of cards. I don't know, this is striking me as domain, even though they aren't fetching other lands. Ride's End costs too much mana. They could Ride's End our Reckless Anchorage and draw 2 cards. That would be annoying. But they can't hit our Vren. It's like they want to. They're just like, I want a Restless, I want to get that. I want to hit Vren. And they settle for the Restless Anchorage. I knew it. Okay, opponent draws a buttload of cards. That is annoying. But you know what? I can't just sit here and do nothing. Pest Control is not going to help us out right now. You know, my friend said I should add a single Cease Desist to the list, and I'm thinking he might be right. Overlord of the Mistmoors. Hey, you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with getting smacked in the face for 7 right now, but... next turn he won't be doing that, so... Alright. Let's make him discard. Land. Okay. Guess we'll get in for 4. And then we'll see what our opponent does. Only got 1 white mana, unfortunately. Another Overlord of the Mistmoors, my gosh. And he's just casting this one. Hey, it is Daniel, you're here. Okay, unfortunately we have to Ride's End that. Thank you very much. This is the deck I shared with you. Daniel is the one who inspired me to this, though. So thank you, Daniel. Alright, we're down to 7, but we get a rat. Alright, Ketramos. Man, I don't think there's a way out of this for us. Yeah, I think we're just dead. No flyers. Oh well. Overlords are good. Who would have thought, right? I think us not, like, honestly, my biggest issue is that I didn't have enough white mana that game. Duke 13-16. We get to go first. I like this. Want to take some mulligan? Yeah, I think you might be right, Daniel. I think I might throw at least one cease desist into this. Definitely not letting that resolve. Let's get down plains. Scrolls Hive for our opponent. Alright, let's get down Lazav. Got a nice little curve here. Passage for the opponent. Alright, let's get down Ren. Attack for 1. Enduring Innocence. You got it, opponent. All right, we're gonna draw something to target our opponent's stuff eventually, but they just scoop it up. If we ever cast a spell that target our opponent's stuff, we're in good shape. So there we go. We kind of had two one-sided games. Our opponent smashed our face, then we smashed our opponent. Wait, man. I was gonna go ahead and add that cease assist real quick, but we get to go first. Good hand, good hand. Coast. Reef. All right. River Churn Monument. How about no? Skitter. Submit 0. Because we want to try to trigger Ketramos next turn. Risen Reef. Does our opponent have removal for Skitter? They do not. They're going to mill us 4. Alright. Well, Ketramos says hello. Skitter says bye-bye Monument. We draw a card, lose life. Get in for 4. I'm tempted to attack with Lord Skitter and then just plaza it, but I think I'm just gonna get in with the 2 rats. I could have played an untapped land and rides ended just now, but I feel like it's better to get the untapped lands out of the way and then just rides end this now. We miss out on the card draw, but with the board state we have, I'm not... Oh, that's annoying. Alright, Plains, Tiny Bones. No. No exiling. No, 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 no. Ooh, Mindbreaker. That's rough. Full Samnophage. I don't know why he blocked, to be honest. Obviously, I had a reason for it, right? Draw a card. It's a Plaza. Alright. Mindbreaker's annoying. It doesn't work. Yeah, there goes half our library. But then it gets exiled. Oh my gosh. We are destroying lands like crazy. Can we draw some spells, please? Oh. That's lame. Alright. Let me add that cease desist real quick. What do I replace it with? I guess we can go down one pest control for that. I don't hate Calamity's Wake, but it's a sideboard card. I don't think it's good for best of one, because it's super irrelevant if we don't need it. Hey, Smiley, welcome. Yeah, that art's really cool. All right, we'll play a couple more games of Catch 'em Most Crime, and then we'll move on to Copy Control. Now, I won't lie, Copy Control it's a little bit of a meme deck. It's not like we're gonna be like, you know, just crushing our way through the ladder. But boy, is it one of the most fun control decks I've ever built. I'm definitely excited to share it with you guys. Hey, Chris Stuff, welcome to the stream. We get to go first. Boy, I wish that Restless Reef was untapped. We'll take it, though. This is still a good hand, in my opinion. Tranquil Cove for the opponent. I'm gonna play Tiny Bones. Because I feel like this might be Omni combo or Oculus. I don't know, Tranquil Cove might be... Just got back from your LGS? Nice! Gobbos. Goblins are fun. I need to get down to my LGS. I haven't been in a while. I do miss playing paper. Arena definitely makes you, like, forget how to play paper Magic. You get spoiled. I would like some lands. Although I couldn't ask for a better two-lander, to be honest. Let's see what our opponent's doing. I'll leave our Tiny Bones alone. Relic of Legends. What? This is a fun combo. Now, whatever they discard, we... Oh, yeah, look! Omniscience! Or one with the multiverse! So they are, that's what they're doing. They're trying to reanimate. Oh, Monument to Endurance? What? Oh, they're not gonna like us. Let's make them discard again. We're like their worst nightmare with Tiny Bones on the battlefield. Everything they discard becomes ours. They discard a land, I get it. Yep, no invasion for them. Now they still get to draw cards and stuff, which is cool, but I've got a Spell Pierce if they've got removal. Now, granted, they probably... Ever-flowing Well will say no to that. Throw the Vadmir again. Malicious Excavation. Make a mill. Vadmir is big and scary and lifelinky now. Now, if they have a Sunfall, then we're probably screwed, but... Hey, we got him! Tiny bones, tiny bones. Bauble Burglar is so good right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I almost want to play some black-based mid-range deck just to play a couple of tiny bones in there. Just to stomp on those Omni combo decks. Arpeggiatura. Arpeggiatura? I don't know. Opponent goes first. This is very slow. Too slow. We're gonna take a mulligan. Because we need things to cast before turn 3. Please and thank you. Our opponent is the Eternal Taskmaster, and they're certainly taking an eternal amount of time to decide if they want to keep. Considering we're playing at 80-something% Mythic, I feel like it's really not that important. My luck, they're just like... They clicked play and then walked away to get a drink or something. Come on, opponent! I'm streaming. Stop making me do nothing. I'm sorry. Alright, opponent mulliganed. We will also mulligan. This is much better. We will keep. We will put back... Lizov. Man, I'm really tempted not to put... Nah, we'll put it back. Jagged Barrens. First Blood. Opponent already smacking us in the face with their lands. Gastel Thrill Seeker. Alright, well, we've got a good hand to deal with this kind of deck. Another Gastel Thrill Seeker. Let's go ahead and smite that. Let's go ahead and get down Ketramos. Outside of an edict, they shouldn't have a way to deal with this, really. And then we can either play Elenda or Ride's End and cease desist next turn, depending. Opponent gets in for 2. They're all full speed. Flame Cash Gecko. Flame Cash Gecko. Alright, Burning Tree Emissary 2.0. And then they're gonna draw and discard. They discard Hell to Pay. Alright. I think I like Elenda here. He can still attack with his Gastel Thrill Seeker, but this gives us life gain. He can't really... He's got pump, he's got pump. No pump. Alright, so we just invalidated his attack, basically. She has protection from instants. Is that a sorcery? It is. Alright, more Flame Cash Geckos. So he may have a sorcery that can deal with Elenda. Nope. Alright, cool. We will cease. Hit this and this, and draw a card. And draw a card. And then we will play Tiny Bones, Bauble Burglar, in case he tries to draw and discard anymore. We'll get in with Elenda, gain some life. And then starting next turn, we can force him to discard things. Yes, activate your Flame Gecko. Thank you. I will take that. Not gonna block. Because I would like to keep my... Aha! Obnixilis! Roar! Now we've got Ride's End. He's got his own Obnixilis. And Tectonic Hazard. Okay. Alright, well, that, and yeah, we win! Nice! Alright, Ketramos Crime is fun. I'll play one more. And then we'll move on to copy control. Alright, Sindor! Opponent goes first. I'll try it. Glad I drew Coast. Gev. Oh, well, I guess that works. Charming Scoundrel. Alright, we'll play a Plaza, get Lazov down. No blocks. I'm not risking a burn spell or a pump spell. Oh, that's annoying. That gets Gev back. Very strong. Boy, I wish I had an untapped land. Not how I want to play this turn, but I think if I'm ever going to get ahead, that's how I have to play it. So we're going to take a lot of damage this turn, probably. Alright, I'm going to risk the block this time. Okay, no pump spells, at least. Nezumi, Link Breaker, alright. Alright, well, Vadmir is nice. Okay. So we can get rid of the Alesha. Hopefully. Opponent just goes to town. We're gonna Elspeth Smite now. Grow the Vadmir. Oh. Well, he has to change it to a legal target, though. I'm still gonna force him to pay the extra 2 mana. He has to choose one of his creatures, though. Alright, so I can still block here and here. That's super annoying. Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, I think we lost this one. Just didn't draw enough actual removal. Oh well. On to copy control! Let's play some real jank. Alright, so let me show you this list. This is based around basically just annoying the crap out of our opponent by doing kind of what our opponent just did to try to do with us with Untimely Malfunction. Using things like Return the Favor and See Double and Reenact the Crime to just snatch all of our opponent's stuff and make it ours, control the board, and win either with Jace or Chandra or using their own things against them. So this is a very, very fun control list. And I've had some absolutely crazy wins with this today. Alright, Zend. We get to go first. I will keep... Since we have Collector's Vault, we can at least make treasures. Alright, we'll surveil. I need lands. Getting rid of a 3 steps ahead is like the worst feeling in the universe, but... Torch the tower! Hooray! You know what? No, let's Collector's Vault. We have time. If our opponent decides to pump that into Oblivion this turn, then that's just the news. Welcome, welcome, welcome to anybody just joining the stream. Okay, they have their stupid Manifold Mouse. Let's draw and discard. We found a land, thankfully. Let's discard the extra vault. Torch. And then I'm gonna save this torch in case they play a... Okay. You don't need to convince me. If they have Monstrous Rage number 2, I'll just scream. Okay. Alright, we have staved off the problem. Draw. Discard, reenact the crime. Oh, okay. Our opponent just gave up. It's like, he killed my 2 mice! No! That's the best feeling in the world, because they always have it. They always have turn 1 Heartfire Hero, turn 2 Manifold Mouse, turn 3 Monstrous Rage. It's like they always have that sequence, and it drives me nuts. So we didn't get to do fun stuff that game, but at least we crushed Mono Red, right? And that's what life's about. Armin Tinnitus. Opponent goes first. This is fine. Plains. Alright, Thundering Falls for us. I'll keep Torch. Plains of Johnny's Pride Mate. Collector's Vault. getting the collector's vault down instead of getting rid of the pride mate, because I don't think they'll gain life. Yeah, okay. All right, Shivan Reef. Let's draw a card. We'll discard extra Chandra. And we'll go ahead and torch the Tower of the Enduring Innocence. And if I think it's going to be an issue, we can always bounce off the Pride Mate. Rune Lurker Bat, sure. Sheltered by Ghost, alright. Well, you're not getting rid of my Collector's Vault, so... Get out of here. Alright, Collector's Vault. Draw. What do we discard here? I guess C double. And then we'll counter the Pride Mate. Or counter that. All right. Pride Mate. Vanguard. Bat. You got it, opponent. All right, draw, discard. Discard Chandra. Reenact. Get Chandra back. Very nice.
Have to win this fight.
All right, let's draw and discard. Of course, we find more lands. That's a lot of Brotherhood's ends. Well, it's not fun, but it gets rid of his board.
Scorching hot. Back off, creep.
And we still have a Collector's Vault to keep drawing and discarding and finding more things to do, but our opponent is out of gas, so... worth it. Alright, let's play another vault. Draw, discard. We don't need 3 return the favors. Ah, they scoop it up. Alright. Chandra! Oh, we're not doing bad so far. Although I would really like to actually get a game where I get to take advantage of the namesake card of the deck, right? But the cool part is if we hadn't had to lose our Chandra there, the following turn we could have copied her negative ability and just wiped everything away, damaged our opponent a whole bunch. We get to go first. Hooray! We'll keep. It's a little slow, but we've got a Brotherhood's End for catching up if it's an aggro deck. Nowhere to run. Alright, Thundering Falls. Ugh. We need lands. Overlord of the Bailmer. Hey, our opponent wants to mill themselves. I'm cool with that. We get back a FOMO.
Phyrexian's plans are already in motion. Organic minds are easily quelled.
And get back Bloodghast. Fear of missing out. They have 2 Torch the Towers? Really? Okay.
I will
That's how you want to play it.
Emotions are distractions.
I got more
Focus key.
Jaces. Another Overlord of the Bale Merc. Opponents milling themselves real good for me. Gnawing Vermin. Opponent goes after Jace.
You hesitate to accept the truth. Become subdued. You can easily be solved for.
Opponent gets a treasure, scries one to the bottom, plays FOMO. Discards a FOMO, draws a card. Plays a land, gets back the Bloodghast, plays a greedy freebooter. You got it, opponent. Alright, we're gonna play a mountain, we're gonna play Chandra. We're going
Enough
to
talking. Let's
1,
do
2,
this.
3. Get rid of these.
You're toast.
Plus on the Bloodghast. There's no point in getting rid of the Bloodghast because our opponent's just gonna get rid of it. Opponent's got to decide if they want to attack with their Restless Vents this turn to get rid of one of these two Planeswalkers. Opponent FOMOs. Who do they get rid of? Chandra would be the smart one. Yep, they get rid of Chandra. Discard draw.
There's still hope.
Overlord comes off impending.
You can be made to obey.
Opponent's smartly going to attack first here. Get back, Chandra. Opponent's gonna get back Callous Sellsword. Go and block the Overlord. Jace lives.
Impossible!
No, he's gonna get rid of Jace. Okay.
A minor
he'll-
setback to Phyrexia's.
Plays the Callous Sellsword, comes in as a 4/4. Play the Bloodghast, sure. How many cards? 28? How many mana do I have? Do I have enough? Okay, we win. Easy game.
Surrender your mind
1, 2, 3,
to
4,
Phyrexia's.
5. Mill. Copy target ability. Copy Jace. Easy. Boom. Mill 30.
Nothing could be more vulnerable than your memory. I
Bye-bye.
pull one thread, and your entire mind unravels.
GG. See? Fun stuff. All right. Hey, I mean, we're 3-0 with my pure jank deck. It's pretty sweet. Ready. Fernando J. Pardo. All right. We get to go first. I like this hand. Yeah, I love Return the Favor, and it's so fun because there's so many other fun, interesting things you can do with it, too. Opponent's got an island over there, so I wonder what they're up to. And then the couple of copies of Haughty Jim we have in the deck reduce the cost even further, which is nice. Island again for the opponent. Mono blue, all right. Play Chrome Host Sheet Shark. See if that resolves. I would love to be getting incubation tokens from everything we do from here on out. Looks like they might have a counter for it though. Phantom Interference. Alright, so it's looking like they might be playing Mono Blue Jin. Scrawling Crawler. Alright, we'll draw. Draw and discard. I guess we're gonna discard Jin. I don't really see us needing Jin very much in this game. Not quite sure what our opponent's doing. Scrawling Trawler, huh? Soulstone Sanctuary for our opponent. Enduring Curiosity. Well, I need to find lands, so we're gonna dig. We fail. Well, I guess we're gonna Brotherhood's End and hope he doesn't draw an untapped land to activate that Soulstone Sanctuary. Nope, okay. We found a land. Hallelujah. Let's go ahead and get a Jace down. And then I'm gonna tempt him into attacking the Jace if he doesn't have a counter. Okay, he does. Okay, but that means Soulstone Sanctuary is not getting activated, so he still has to draw a land. What is he playing? Fairy Mastermind. Alright, well now he's gonna be drawing cards. That's annoying. Land. Alright. Well, if our opponent's counter spells deck, then we might have a hard time here. Okay.
Emotions are distractions.
Opponent can get in with Soulstone Sanctuary, but that's their whole turn. Opponent bounces our Jace. And bounces their Mastermind and replays it, I guess? I feel like that was just a huge waste of resources, in my opinion. Silent Hall Creeper. Man, I need lands. Not a land. This is very frustrating. We're only struggling in this game because we can't find lands, and we've drawn a lot of cards. If they don't have removal, at least they can't get in with anything but Hall Creeper. Mindbreaker. Okay. Alright, come on, land, please. My gosh. We can't catch a break. I can't catch a break. Not this game. I'm at 7. Wait. Oh, because it costs 7 normally. Oh, well, we're probably screwed. Oh, now we draw a land. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh man, okay, opponent's got 38 cards left. I screwed up. When I cast this, when I cast that C double, I was thinking about the unearth cost on this, so I thought that I could snatch one of the Mindbreakers, and I was wrong. That was a miscalculation on my part. Yeah, unfortunately, we are toast here. I think what I should have done is bounced my Jhin. I don't know. I don't know if there was a way I could have won that game, honestly. I just got so land screwed. I mean, you saw, I drew a lot of cards. I could not find a 4th land to save my life. A 5th land, rather. Obi-Wan 87 Shinobi. Obi-Wan Shinobi. We go first. I like this hand. We will keep. Get our surveil on. Can I afford to keep Torch? I don't think so. I need to make sure I hit lands. Island. The Enigma Duel. Okay. Is this a synthesizer deck? Because we could totally ruin their life. Nesting bot, huh? Case of the Filched Falcon. Ooh, more Brotherhood's End is nice. Fabrication foundry. Clay-fired bricks. Oh, we're gonna just destroy all your artifacts. Land, hooray! Let's just go ahead and get rid of all that for now. We got another one. I would wait if I only had the one, but since we've got two, opponent can sack their clue at least, draw a card. If they lose their jewel, their foundry, and their bricks. Leyline axe. Well, I can't destroy that, unfortunately. Don't need more collector's vaults right now. Island, nesting bot. Opponent's not gonna slap their leyline axe on their bot. Another leyline axe. Okay. Draw. Discard C double. Pass. Sure. Three steps ahead. I don't know why they scooped. I guess they don't want to wait. They're just impatient. Are they really that impatient? They can't even wait? Like, for all they knew, they had me on the ropes. All right. One more game with this one, and then we'll move on. About 40 minutes left in the stream, so time for probably another one or two more brews. Bear! Bear! But he has a badger as a thing. Opponent goes first. This is reasonable. I'm taking a risk, but okay, well, we found a third land, so we're good. Scroll. Okay. Play Kitza. Need to find some counter magic. Split skin doll. Oh, maybe not. Maybe this is not a board wipe deck. Ethereal armor. None of that. Optimistic Scavenger. And another split skin doll. So I'm assuming we have to watch out for sheltered with ghosts. Opponent wants a double block. I'm cool with that. Absolutely. Bye-bye, Scavenger. Inspiring Overseer. What is this deck? Land. Helpful Hunter. Is this just 2 drops dot deck? I need lands, please. Collector's Vault. Incubate. No attacks. Opponent's just gonna die to their own Skrull's Hive eventually. Inspiring Overseer. Scavenger. Incubate. Okay, get rid of an Overseer. Take one poison. Land! Thank you. Alright. Jace. Jace says...
Flesh will always lose.
Jace says let's draw a card. Okay, I'm glad I did that. They had a shelter with Ghost on top. And we got a land. Opponent can get their little... No, they can't, because I can block a Phyrexian. Oh, they got a shelter by Ghost anyway. That's annoying. There goes our Jace. Alright. We're in a little bit of trouble now. Exercise. Sure. Alright, Murex. Let's draw and discard, see if we can find a Brotherhood's End. Nope. Alright. Okay, let's deal with the problematic things. Split Skin Doll, and then I guess we'll block one of these guys. Since our opponent is getting dangerously close to toxicing us out. Oh, man. No luck. Well, at least you can see the fun things we can do.
We have to win this fight.
Oh well. That was a really random, crappy deck to lose to. It happens though. We just couldn't find, and I used my Brotherhood's End a little too early maybe. But I was just worried about that token growing out of range of it. Just didn't think we would have that hard of a time finding other things to do. Opponent goes first. This is risky. Any land and we're happy. This is better. We'll put back Jin. Actually, we'll put back Crime. Shadowy Backstreet for the opponent. Alright. Mountain. Caves of Koilos, Market Gnome. A River Pyroverge, pass the turn. Caves of Koilos. Alright, Shivan Reef, let's play Seed Shark, see if it lives. What? I love this guy. I've been wanting to play this card. It's so bad, but I've been wanting to play it. I love that this gives all your colorless stuff flash. Mad respect. Sir Ginger, the meal ender. I have no idea what this person is doing. Duskgrow Squad. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're gonna ruin their life, but this is still a fun looking deck. What is this nonsense? I love it. I feel so bad. Do they have a way to stop this? No? Okay, we get our Chief Shark back. Listen though, that was props. They get to scry a couple, though. I love Sir Ginger. And I like this card a lot. I love being able to cast artifact spells at instant speed. Opponent draws a card, loses a life. Oh! Why can't you just leave our cool shark alone? 3 steps ahead. Alright, let's play Jace. Mill.
Will be educated. I know where to find all
Bartolome. I like this. Is an interesting deck. I don't know what's going on. Lauren, Disciple of History. Feels kind of bad, but plus the Jace on the Lauren. We can torch the Liberator. I always have respect for jank. And there is definitely some sweet jank going on here. I love it. Tithing Blade. Oh. Well, I guess we'll counter. You got another one? Nope. Market Gnome. Oh, come on. Our opponent doesn't want to let us have any fun.
Stopping tyrants like you is kind of my thing. More crisp should be enough.
I will clear your...
More Jace. I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. Opponent should have a pretty hard time getting out of this. Although I do respect their spice. They have removal for Chandra? We have another one, so it's okay if they do. Another Lauren, Disciple of History, sure. Sear Ginger. And a Market Gnome. Alright, let's exile.
No plan, no problem. No harm.
Go ahead and blow some stuff up. Let's go ahead and plus the Jace.
You can be made to obey.
Pass turn. This is such a fun deck. I know it feels a little bit like watching paint dry right this particular second, but I really do like this deck a lot. Tithing Blade. Not sacrificing my Jin again, dang it. We don't need 6 lands anymore. We got Chandra on the field already, so. I swear if he has another Dusk Rose Reliquary, I'm just gonna throw my hands in the air. Not that that would be enough for us to lose or anything, but it'd just be so obnoxious. I've been trying to stick one of these 3-drops for a while. Sarah Ginger! Hexproof from Planeswalkers, and he does get the Dusk Rose Reliquary back! So annoying! This is such a cool deck. I love this guy's deck. Goes after Chandra.
Our plans are beyond your comprehension.
Oh, it has hexproof unless I control Planeswalker. That's a problem. I thought it was hexproof from Planeswalkers. Oh no! Oh, I misjudged.
A more efficient solution must be found.
Okay, well now we can get rid of it. It gets exiled, so it's not like you can get it back this time. Come on. This isn't that hard. Play Urza thingy, get something back if you want.
Burn Phyrexia to ash.
It's gonna flash in the Urza thing, get something back. But at least Lauren's gone at that point. He doesn't really have anything that can hurt us anymore in his graveyard, so I'm not that worried about it. Now it is annoying if he can manage to grow the Liberator. Which he can. The Mythic Drought will do it, right? The way this reads. It is annoying.
This is the end. Let's go out with a bang!
But then I can Brotherhood Zone to get my Jin back again. Oh, this is so annoying. I have to give my opponent credit for playing something this janky. I'm not gonna Brotherhood's End this turn though. I'm gonna play Jace first. And plus on the Battle Thopter. And if he finds a way to do something crazy with it, we'll just bounce it back to his hand. I'd rather save this Brotherhood's End for when it's like a decisive issue. Well, I guess I just helped him grow it. Since now everything he casts is going to have a higher mana cost than its power, right? Oops. Down to 27 cards. If he's not careful, I'm just going to draw another Jace and mill him that way.
What you're thinking won't work.
Give me back my gem. And let's go ahead and draw 3.
The data requires scrutiny.
All right. And now I think we are fine. I was going to try to win by milling, but I think I'm just going to copy Jin. And win that way. Now I guess I have to counter Tithing Blade. He's just making this as difficult as possible, isn't he?
No secret escapes my grasp.
All right. Well, this should be absolutely beautiful. Opponent shouldn't be able to do anything at this point. We can just copy a bunch, make a buttload of copies of Jin. Lots and lots of Jins, lots and lots of Jins, lots and lots of Jins. GG. God, man, that was a grindy game. I was not expecting that game to be that hard. But we got there. Opponent just had a lot more recursive value than I was expecting. My Brotherhood's ends were not nearly as effective as I was hoping they would be. Very cool deck, though, from the opponent. I love seeing spicy stuff like that. All right, Millwallskin. Opponent goes first. We'll keep. Opponent takes 2 mulligans. Me gets the feeling this won't be that long of a game. Helpful Hunter. Heir Apparent. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Does he just have two heir apparents in his hand? Oh man, we need a Brotherhood's End real fast. Oh my gosh, we're drawing all the collector's vaults though. Alright, let's play Jin. Swamp. And nothing from the opponent. Opponent gets in. Take two. Draw. Discard. I guess we'll get rid of crime. I might win with their own heir apparent. I'm tempted. Draw and discard. Alright, that takes care of their board. What you got, opponent? Web it. Raise the past. Okay. Oh my gosh, okay. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. That's obnoxious. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, look at all this fun we're having. Look at all this stuff going on. I love this deck. It takes a while to win, but man, is it fun. That's cool. I like that. What a fun little addition there. Another round. I've always thought that was a neat card. It reminds me of a much worse Ghost Wave, but... Alright, one last brew before we switch it up today. So we're gonna play I Like Turtles. This is the most... I've just so desperately been trying to make Pride of the Hulklade work ever since it was printed. I love the card, and I just feel like with Carolorna, Coral Tyrant, and Aegis Turtle, and things like Crystal Barricade, we've just gotten so many good cards for a deck like this. And I've actually been doing okay with this. Like, I haven't been, like, crushing it or anything, but it's a fun deck to win with. And it's really neat to be able to play something like Expel the Interlopers and just one-sided board wipe our opponents, and things like Delny. Let our creatures get through walls of huge things, and it's a lot of fun. So we're gonna try it out. We might get our butts kicked, but boy, if we're not gonna try to have fun doing it. That's what Magic's all about. Having fun, playing fun stuff. But they do make the decks as competitive as possible, and the deck definitely has what it takes to work, so we get to go first. Go ahead and play Valiant Stock, get that out of the way. Creosote Heat. Interesting. Alright. Carolorna, Coral Tyrant. Carolorna is also really good because it's just an insane blocker. Alright, well, if we ever draw a Pride of the Hulklade, our opponent's in trouble. When it pings us... I like their use of the deserts for their speed, that's pretty fun. Might as well go ahead and get in for 3 with the Bulwark. Opponent pings us. Speed is up to 3. Alright, come on, Pride. One time, Pride of the Hulklade. Let me have it. Oh. Alright, well, we'll keep trying. It's not like we can't block Hazoret, so... Canyon Crab happens to be nice if we do end up in a situation like this where we're not able to really do a whole lot. Day of Judgment. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, well, we still have a manland. Oh no! Now he can block with Hazoret. Buggy. Oh, I mean, we can still get in. He can technically sack something. Oh, it's annoying. Okay, well, I guess we get rid of the golem. Alright, well, now we're in trouble. Wow, we just draw on lands. Oh well, alright. We're so close. And the sad part is we were so close and we didn't even draw either of our win cons, so. Had we drawn one of our win cons, I think we would have won that game. We tried. Wasn't expecting Hazaret and being an indestructible menace. V. Randy. That's the problem with low mythic, is we're always playing against the same kind of jank we're playing, so we get to go first. This is fine. Turtle. I like turtles. Swamp for our opponents. We will play Crystal Barricade. No attacks. Haha! Got him! Opponent says, nice! Yeah, your deep cavern bats don't work, buddy. Liliana don't work either.
Something suspicious is going on. And for once, it's not my fault.
We literally made him scoop just from Crystal Barricade. Oh, that was great. If there's one thing you took away from this stream tonight, it's that Crystal Barricade will make Mono Black mad. All right, Pieka. Ah, we got the hand, and we're on the play. This is the stuff right here. Bulwark. If we get lucky, we've got a really sweet curve here. If our opponent just kills our bulwark, that would suck, but okay, Eroded Canyon. Zealot. Swift Spear. Don't care about that. Mockingbird, sure. Pride. Turn 3, 215. Feels good. Swift Spear. I'll block that all day long. That is a lot of Swift Spears, though. Opt. He's got options. Monstrous Rage, yep. A lot of damage. Very cool, Master. Alright. Aegis Turtle. Take 15. Alright, as long as he can't deal 9 damage with one Swift Spear, we should be fine. Okay, that doesn't do it, but he only needs like one more spell and we're dead. Please tell me that last thing is not a spell. Oh, come on. No! We were so close! Ugh, so frustrating. That was a frustrating loss. We were this close. We just needed them to have a land in their hand for once in their life. But nope, they had a burn spell. Mono Red's so, like, it just blows my mind how much damage that deck can do. And I mean, I know that was Is It technically, but how much damage that deck can output that quickly. It's insane. We get to go first. I probably should have mulliganed, honestly. If we never find a third land, we're gonna be in real bad shape. We found a third land! Bitter reunion. Uh-oh. Tali. Alright. Alright, well, we need to keep drawing lands. Land, please. Monument. Nice. I think we win. If he doesn't have removal, you can make a treasure. Draw a card. So, I mean, he could have removal. But I think we're still okay, even if he does. Another bitter reunion. Yeah, okay. Got him. GG. Bedrock Tortoise. All right, I should we'll play one more. Technically the stream ends at 11, but I'm having too much fun with this, so we'll play one more and then move on. This looks great. This is like beautiful. We need lands, but it's really, really good. Even without lands, it's pretty good. All right. Does our turtle live? It does. Never mind. Does that live? Duress. Okay, you can take or get lost. Turtle. Hulkblade. I need a land. Maybe I should have played the Zealot. Leave my Hulkblade alone. Arcfiend. That is a land, but it's not untapped, unfortunately. Bloodletter. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, our one more game is not going well. Well, I'm gonna draw 8 cards anyway. Oh no. Oh, we tried. I don't care. This is such a cool deck. We're like 50-50 with it, so, I mean, for something this janky, I can't complain about 50-50. All right. Gifting out 5 members. 5 memberships to those of you who are still here, so congratulations to Lucas, Turgobbler, Captain Trips, and Sackless. You've been gifted a membership to try out. I do a few members-only live streams every month, and then there's also a Discord, so if you want to go over to my page and click on membership perks, you can get the access to my Discord there. It's still fairly new, so there's not a lot of people there, but I personally am active in that Discord, so if you want to go over there and join that Discord, you'll have access to talking to me about deck ideas, things like that, just chatting in general. It's a fun way to interact with me, and then I also will have other random things going on here and there that are members only. So enjoy the free membership. If you think that it's worth renewing later on, it's a fantastic way to support the channel, as I am trying to eventually make this into a career, so that I can be home and spend more time with my family. Speaking of my family, before I forget, I promised my son. My son made me this wonderful angler fish. My son's only 9, and he made this for me in art class. I promised him with all my heart that I would show it to you guys and tell you that he made it for me. So this is so I can play the VOD for him later and show that I kept my promise. And also it is pretty cute. So, I mean, I do think anglerfish is a pretty interesting idea for my son to have chosen to make an art class. So gotta hand him it for his creativity. But anyway, I appreciate all of you who have been here with me throughout the stream. It's been an absolutely fun time. I've really had a good time going over spoilers with you guys playing Standard, and it's always a blast. I hope that you had a good time. I hope that you'll take a quick moment to hit that like button on your way out. And if you are not subscribed, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're getting super close to 1,000 subscribers, and I couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank every one of you who've helped me on this journey so far. And I will catch you guys in the next one.